Oops. So what's it like driving a EV? I was like many people. I was against it for the longest time. I hate when anything becomes politically motivated, and then it kind of forces you to almost have to change sides. And it's unfortunate because I truly believe if it wasn't such a political push, there would actually be a lot more out on the road. Where this all started with our journey, we've always been a two-car family. My wife taking care of the kids, myself going, to work, and yeah, whatever the excuse may be, we've always had two vehicles. And living here in California, gas prices seem to fluctuate pretty significantly. You'll pay anywhere in the cheaper months. I know to other states this is going to sound like a nightmare, but you may pay about $4.55 a gallon. Summer months, typically about $7 a gallon. About 2 years ago, when Biden made the bonehead move of putting sanctions on Russia, we saw how that worked out. We were paying over $8 a gallon out here. Let's go, Brandon. So anyway, my wife, going into this side of it, she is a person that, to save a few dollars, hope she doesn't watch this video, she'll kill me, but anyway, to save a few dollars, she'll drive to 5 different locations for her grocery shopping, and she seems to like to go almost daily. And so that's where the idea of maybe an EV wouldn't be that bad for her style of driving. Definitely save on gas. We live in a small town up in the high desert, and she was still going through about $100 a week in gas. So anyway, went over to Ford, tried to get her to test drive the Mustang Mach-E, and she wasn't a fan at all. And at the time, we had a small little SUV also, so I think it was kind of one of those, like, why would I go from the same car to another type deal? And right before we were leaving, I asked them if they had the F-150 Lightning, and the guy said that there was one that they had in the back, but it was already reserved. And anyway, make a long story short, a few phone calls later, the truck ended up being available after all. I'm sure I was just a sucker there, but hey, whatever, it worked. So we drive off. We have our first EV. She trades in her gas vehicle, and guy, after that, I was I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty impressed. Drive home, you realize these are very torquey automobiles. First thing I did, we get home. She wants to go inside. My kids want to go take a test drive in the new vehicle. So, being excited also, I rounded them up in the truck and we go taking off down the road. And where we live, there's a highway, 395. And if you hit it at the right time, you make a right turn, you pretty much have open territory. So I ended up, first time ever in an EV, ended up getting around the corner, and then I punched it. And the only way I could describe it is imagine sitting in the far back seat of a fast roller coaster and you're taking that drop, and that velocity or whatnot you feel is just incredible. You literally sink in the seat and get a lightheaded feeling. This thing is so fast. Now granted, I mean, I've had sports cars before. I've had a Dodge Challenger, a Chevy Camaro. Those things would get smoked by a Ford Lightning full-size 4-door truck. All that said, it's not a reason to buy one. You'd probably, I mean, there's not enough data known on these batteries yet, so common sense tells me don't run it hard every day. I mean, it's just like, say, a gas engine. You're not going to want to run it hard every damn day. You'll kill your transmission, you'll have problems. So anyway, back to the story. We have the truck for a little while. Just so happens that a weekend coming up, we had a Las Vegas trip. Now myself, at the time, I had a diesel. Oh gosh, I loved that truck. It was a Chevy Silverado diesel, that Duramax 3.0 liter. Thing was fast. It was actually surprisingly great gas mileage for that thing, or diesel mileage. And anyway, so we decided, let's leave that at the house. And I wanted to take the EV out and round up the kids, get in the truck. We head to Las Vegas. And gosh, it's an amazingly comfortable ride. We're cruising down the road. We stop at the fast charger there in Baker. Still don't know what to expect. Ford has something, I want to say they say like 40 minutes from 13% or 15% up to 80, or don't quote me on that, I don't know. And so I, again, really didn't know what to expect. We made it to Baker. We were at about 49% battery. We left our home at about 90% charge. And I plugged that thing in, walked inside. We all used the restroom. We come back out. Truck's ready to go. So maybe 10, 15 minutes. I don't know. I just unhooked it. We drove. And like everybody, when you first drive an EV on a long trip, I was real paranoid. We didn't want to turn on the radio. Don't plug in the goods. Your cell phones, don't plug anything in that could drain the battery. And we made it to Vegas, plenty of charge still. Went back, charged it up, went through. We were out there for a week. Absolutely loved it. As much as I wanted to hate the truck because of the political drive, I loved it. We drive back, kind of the same experience. Well, I'll get to that. We get back, just incredible vehicle to drive. I can tell you, in my lifetime, I've owned many, many different vehicles, and I will say by far the drive in this vehicle is the most comfortable ride you will ever feel. Could be the weight of the battery underneath. I know it's extremely heavy, so I'm sure they have shocks and whatnot that adjust to it accordingly, but this thing rides like something I've never driven in. So we get back, about a month goes by. I find myself, I'm starting to really jones for one of these trucks also, where I found myself feeling a little bit bad. I had bought the EV truck for my wife, yet when I was home, any type of trip I wanted to do, I kind of put it in my head where, all right, well, if I take my diesel out where I go, I'm going to eventually have to fill it back up, or conveniently, I can drive my wife's truck and I can just plug it in when I get home. So I started driving her truck all the time. We took another Vegas trip. This time I plugged everything in, had the radio on, I did all this stuff, and realized that really has no effect on your drive. So again, we stop in Baker, go to Vegas, hang out for a while. My wife's family's out there. We're not gamblers. Anyway, the moment we get back, I'm in love with these trucks. So be it be known, so I had just bought my diesel truck about 6 months prior. I bought it in June of last year. And gosh, I wanted to love that truck. I was really loving these EV trucks. So I tell my wife, I say, look, you know, it was a slow day. Tell her I'm gonna just take my diesel out. I'm gonna go for a long drive, just fall in love with my truck again. And get in the truck, go driving around Victorville, and on my way home, I decide to get off on Palmdale. I'm driving up the road, I'm passing Ford, I look over, and I see the EV F150 Lightning in the silver, and that to me that's my color. So, stupid or smart, I can't tell you yet, but ended up telling myself, well, you know, I'm just gonna go talk to him. So I go into Ford, and well, a couple hours later, I drive away with the silver F-150 Lightning. So now we have two of these trucks, And God, man, I drove away in the rearview mirror looking at my beloved diesel that I had wanted my entire life. And anyway, that was back in January. We're currently in June right now, and I have absolutely no regrets. Again, on the political side of things, I am definitely a person that shouldn't have fallen in love with these trucks. But if you can get beyond that and not make it a political decision to buy, these are an amazing, I will say this, option. They're an incredible option. I think that they definitely have a place on the road. Should it be the be all, end all, everything like California's trying to shove down our throat? No. There's many things that do require diesel. For example, when we're getting product into grocery stores from cross country, things like that. I mean, sorry about that. I was cut off. I just learned something very valuable about the iPhone 15. Once it gets warm enough, it'll actually shut off on you and lock up and say heat warning on the screen, and you won't be able to do anything. So that info for anybody interested. So anyway, I'm still cruising down the road right now, and what I was getting at was these vehicles not being for everybody, and meaning, product coming across the country, it's not inconvenient for me to stop, go to the bathroom, take 10, 15 minutes. I also live in areas where the chargers are fairly frequent. If you're in a big rig and you're driving in a remote area and you're trying to get to California to make sure riots don't happen to get a box of Cheerios, it's very important that you have like an alternative means like diesel. If a power grid goes out, the grids go out, they shut them down. Anything that happens, I understand that I've left myself in a very vulnerable spot where my truck's not going to go very far. Yes, we did buy a generator if need be, but hey, screw it, man. I don't think EVs are going to save the earth. Being real, right now they bury lithium in remote sites where humans cannot even attempt to go because of the risks, the health risks behind it. So 50 years from now, if the entire world is running off of lithium, where do you think that shit's going to get buried? We're all going to die of cancer, but we'll be able to breathe well. The idea is moronic. I can tell you from experience that, and I do know this for sure, this isn't me just trying to spread a rumor, but what powers the electric grids is natural gas. And without that natural gas, you wouldn't have much of a grid. 100 years from now, will solar energy and those windmill fans, will they be enough to power the earth? I don't know, maybe. Mr. Tesla thought so back in the 20s before he was torn down when Rockefeller realized he wasn't going to make profit anymore. So, whole other history lesson there, but I'm not here to tell the history. I'm just telling you the benefits of this truck. And again, it's a little embarrassing when I roll up and want to go shooting with my buddies and they haven't seen what I drive on a personal note anymore. I definitely, you realize how often you get judged, or opinions and people staring at you all the time, or have a smirk to say when you're driving your EV and you go to the grocery store. You also get a lot of curious eyes. Never fails, whether I'm washing my truck or going to the grocery store. I lift up the frunk area, and where an engine normally is, you have this big open trunk. It's really cool. But in any event, I could tell you many reasons why you shouldn't depend on one of these. My family and I, our style of driving, these work amazing for us. The furthest we go is from Victorville, California, on out to Las Vegas. That's our longest trip we take. My wife loves seeing her family out there, and so it works. You charge up. I could even make it to Baker probably less than 80% charge. I'll charge it to 90 because it's just that much more you're going to save when you're at the supercharger in Baker. Do you save on expense for fuel? Well, yeah. The only time I'm ever paying out of pocket is when I'm taking a long trip. Aside from that, you're just plugging in at your house. Does it charge you? Well, yeah, but there is also programs where the electric company kind of rewards you to, sorry, we have a moron in front of us stopping without a stop sign. There's benefits. So I used to pay 42 cents a kilowatt hour. Now I pay 23 cents a kilowatt hour. We charge during the middle of the night. Of course, you don't want to charge during peak hours. Our area is 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Those are times you definitely want to avoid any charging. But, you know, I plug it in at midnight. I had installed a 240 volt, 40 amp charger in my garage. And that does plenty. I plug it in at midnight. We are a family. We plug in our vehicle every day. Everybody can tell you that there's, you know, you should or you shouldn't do it. I'm kind of a nerd when I go out on, you know, look into things. And I truly believe if you maintain 80% charge and you try to do it within a 10% variant, meaning like my wife goes to 5 stores, comes home, she's at 76% to 73 to 76%. She plugs it in, charges it back up to 80. There's a website, I don't know, you know, it's so hard to trust anything online nowadays, whether it's real or not, but supposedly there is a study that's been done by it's a website, or I think it might actually be a university. It's called Battery University. And they had shown that after, I believe it was like 9,000 charges, when they were doing it and maintaining it within a 10% variant, your battery literally never depleted over 9,000 charges. And then it has different breakdowns. If you charge it to 80% and let it drop down to 20% and then back up to 80, it shows a significant loss in battery range over, I want to say it was about 3,000 charges. So be mindful. There's, you know, going to be trips you take. Like I said, when I go to Vegas, I'll go from anywhere from 80 to 90% to 40 to 50%. I'll land in Baker. Obviously, that's going to be more than the 10%, but it's once in a blue moon. Like I said, if you can get over the political side of things, these trucks are amazing. 0 to 60, 3.8 seconds. When California decides to punish people that love to enjoy their summer times and may have to pay up to $7-8 a gallon in gas, I don't have to do that. Are you saving much when you go to a supercharger? Probably depends on where you go. Baker's expensive overall. They know that if you're stopping there and you're going to need fuel, so even the gas there is always about $1 to $1.50 more than any normal place. The supercharger's not quite that bad. I mean, being real about it, when I get to, I mean, it's still, keep in mind, this is a full-size 4-door truck. When I get to Baker and I'm at about 40 to 50% charge, I want to get myself back up to 80. I'll spend about $22. So I'll make it to Vegas, $22. When I get to Vegas, I'll usually go hit up a charger again, just to kind of give me some runaround charge. And when I do that, it's usually about anywhere from $12 to $15. So again, you know, you do the math on that, and then you're comparing it to another full-size truck, you're probably still doing pretty good. But I'd say if you were just depending on superchargers, you didn't have anything at home, you lived in an apartment, at that point, really not saving anything, and you're definitely not saving the earth. So for those people, I'd say, man, you know, at the end of the day, it's not my place to recommend what you drive. I believe that technology, the more technology advances, it should bring choices, not something forced down our throat. And I love my choices. We now have 2 of these F150 Lightnings. Payments are a little bit high, but then I feel like I'm still saving. I have higher payments, of course, but I only pay for fuel during a trip to Vegas. Charge. Your maintenance on these things, every 10,000 miles, you're rotating tires or changing a cabin air filter. There's really not a lot of maintenance on these vehicles. So with all that done and said, I am, in my style of driving, saving a lot of money. I'm not paying for oil changes. There's no oil changes, no fuel. I don't have to worry about Newsom's means of trying to make a few bucks back to California, like screwing us at the pump. I don't have to worry about any of that crap. So that's a huge plus. Down the road, is he going to continue to raise the prices at the electric company? Probably. This is California. Nobody's in here to save us money whatsoever. But in the meantime, I'm definitely getting by cheaper, and I can only imagine with California shoving these vehicles down our throats that they're going to keep increasing gas prices to this unaffordable, ridiculous rate. But again, that's the price we pay for where we live. And when I retire, I will be far away from California. So in any event, hope this video was enjoyable. I know I ramble a lot, so I appreciate anybody who's continued on watching this. But as I drive my EV around right now, enjoying a beautiful day, 86 degrees here in Victorville, I'm out. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.